Do you know what you need to do to become a data engineer? So in this video, I'm going to talk about the career path as a data engineer and what all the technical things you need to do to travel that data engineering career goal. Let's see how we can achieve that. So as part of data engineering career path at high level, these are the things which you need to achieve. So whatever you can see on the screen, those are the high level skill which I listed down. Let's deep dive in each topic and see what are those things. So starting with programming language. So as part of the programming language, you can see Python, R, Scala, Go, Java, C Sharp, and MATLAB. These are the popular programming languages you need to know as part of your data engineering career. So out of that, I'll rate Python and Java being open source technology. Even C Sharp and other programming languages, they are open source, but most of the work right now as part of the data engineering is being done in Python, and even more scientific activities you can go for R. And suppose you are working on big data technology, that's where Scala comes into the picture, and latest greatest thing, Go is also getting that attention. And suppose you are working on Microsoft technology, that's where C Sharp is more popular and more towards data science activity. MATLAB programming language is also very useful. Now coming to so again, out of all these programming languages, you need to know at least one programming language in depth. So when I talk about Python, so these are let me zoom it. So these are some basic skills, some intermediate skill, and being expert, the deeper concept about that programming language. So these are the things applicable for each programming language here right now. Now coming to the next part, which is about operating system. So if you see most of the servers or most of the product right now, they are deployed on a Linux operating system, and that's where you need to know some deeper concept about Linux operating system, or you need to be at least moderate in Linux scripting. So alternative to Linux scripting, nowadays Python is being used extensively. And suppose you are working on Microsoft platform, so that's where you need to know PowerShell scripting and other common things like how operating system works in general, memory management of operating system, inter-process communication and their management. IO management means when we read the data from disk and bring it to the memory, there are disk IO, memory IO, and network IO when we send the data over the network. So you need to know all these concepts also. So these are the things which are very helpful when you try to do the performance optimization, when you want to improve the performance of your project or program, right? Networking basic, how the network communication happens, how the port number comes into the picture, and how data is sent over the network. So you need to know all those basic networking protocols. Thread and concurrency. So if you know threading and concurrency from operating and as well as programming point of view, it's really good. Then process management, how to see those processes, how much memory is being consumed by those processes. So these are the things which are really helpful when you go for actual productionization of your code and product. Now coming to the next part, which is about RDBMS. RDBMS is core part of data engineering, right? So you need to know at least one RDBMS database. So let's say the popular and most common RDBMS is being used right now. So if you see MySQL is being from the open source community, it is very popular, but MariaDB. And suppose you are working on Oracle, that is again very popular tool and very extensively used. So Oracle. And suppose if you are using Microsoft technology, that's where you need to know MS SQL Server. Then there are these databases. So if you are from IBM background, so that's where DB2 comes into the picture. But again, Postgres is also grabbing lots of attention, where you need quick and better performance of small database. So that's where Postgres is again one of the popular entity in RDBMS world. So when I talk about RDBMS, no doubt it is all about SQL, right? So you need to know DDL, DML, DCL, joins, trigger, function, views, indexes, query optimization technologies. And when it comes to the designing, so you need to have a basic understanding of acid properties, data modeling, diagram, domain, and its requirement understanding. So in which domain you are working, so all the entities and how to convert that domain understanding into actual low level designing. That's where these things are very useful. So that is about DB developer path. Let's see what you need to know as part of DB administrator. DB administrator is again wider and greater job. So when I say DB administrator, wider and greater job means you are really master of that product. So we saw these products, right? Means MySQL, Oracle, MS SQL. So these are those products. So you need to know how to install them, how to configure them, various configuration properties and their specific use during optimization and doing the activity on that RDBMS product. Then you need to know backup and recovery as part of RDBMS product. So there are snapshot backup, differential backup, transactional backup. So these are various types of backup and how to recover data from this backup. That is very important. Then you need to design disaster recovery strategy. So that's where something goes wrong in your server, so you will be in a position to recover the data, right? That's where disaster recovery is very important. Performance monitoring, data replication strategy, storage management, access management, it's very important, right? So when you give access to the database, you need to know, you need to control various users, and you need to manage their authentication and authorization process. So that's where access management plays very important role. Capacity planning, it's very important as part of DBA. So suppose you configure your database on one hard disk and that hard disk is getting filled up, then you need to see how you can make it scalable. So there are vertical scalable solution, horizontally scalable solution. So according to your solutioning strategy, you need to plan and monitor those activities. So that's where alerting solution also plays very important role. So I missed out that here. So you see here, I already mentioned alert configuration and management. So whenever things go wrong or reach to the capacity, that's where you need to get those proper alerts. Then DB tuning, troubleshooting, log monitoring, release management. This is very important. So when you upgrade your product from one version to another version, so you need to take care of lots of activities. So that's where release management plays very important role as part of your DBA environment. Multi-tenancy environment. Suppose you are giving compartmentalization solution where multiple tenants are coming on the platform, your RDBMS platform, and you are giving them guarantee that these many resources will be available for you. So that's where this multi-tenancy environment comes into the picture. Job monitoring, so profiler, and wherever anybody submit that query, you need to be in a good position to track that query and provide the solution for that query. So when I talk about RDBMS solution, there are cloud RDBMS databases also. So right now, those are also very important. So when I'll talk about in subsequent videos about individual cloud solutions, so generic AWS, Azure, and Google Compute, so that's where I'm going to cover this point, cloud RDBMS. Now coming to the next topic, which is about ETL or integration services. So that is extract, load, and transformation. So again, very popular activity when it comes to the data massaging, where we have very good graphical tools, and using those tools we can really massage our data. So that's where Informatica Power Center, which plays very vital role. So very old and powerful tool and being used by many organization. Then SSIS, suppose you are on Microsoft technology, that's where SSIS is very popular tool. Then data stage is IBM popular tool. And in case of Oracle, we have Oracle Data Integrator, Talend, Pentaho, even MuleSoft and NiFi. Suppose you are working on a big data space, so Cloudera has this NiFi tool. So that is also used to do the data transformation. And Tim said these are some of the tools you need to use as part of your ETL activity. But again, you don't need to know all these tools, right? So according to your environment, according to your learning platform, you have to choose that one tool and master it. No need to learn each and everything in all these toolkits. Now moving to the another concept which is data warehouse. So before big data coming into the picture, and even today also, lots of use cases are being deployed as part of the data warehouse solution. So in data warehouse solution, we have star schema, snowflake schema. So if you are from data warehouse background, you may be aware about this modeling tools, right? I mean, modeling concept, star schema, snowflake schema. So again, we have a fact table, dimension table. Then OLAP tools are there where you can fire you can create a cube and you can fire a query which gives you the return data in a fast way. That's where OLAP comes into the picture. So in Microsoft world, we have a very popular tool that is SaaS, SQL Server Analytical Tools. But in case of IBM, similar kind of activities you can perform using Cognos. OB is a tool which is very popular in case of Oracle space. Again, I have given the most common and popular tools here, but there are many more tools which are being used for OLAP kind of activity. Now moving to the next concept, which is master data management. So again, same activity can be done using Informatica MDM, IBM InfoSphere MDM, and also SAP has its own tool, which is SAP Master Data Governance. Again, there are many other tools, but I have worked in Informatica MDM, and I know it's very, very good and handy tool. So that you can use, but rest of the tools also, as per your technology space, you can learn and get that deeper understanding of master data management. When you are a data engineering, the most important activity you need to do, that is job scheduling, and you need to have a proper understanding of various job scheduling tools. So personally, I have worked on AutoSys, Cron, and Control M also, Uzi also, and little bit on Airflow. But Airflow is something which is being used in Cloudera and other products. But again, it is not specific to any product stack kind of tool. I mean, you can use them interchangeably in all other environment also. So when I was working in Cloudera, Uzi was being used for job scheduling. But it is not just Uzi, but you can use even normal Linux cron tab also, or AutoSys and Control M also. So most of the cases I have seen Control M is being used. But again, it is not a rule of thumb. Okay. Moving on to the next part, which is reporting tools. There are many reporting tools, but right now the same space is being acquired by Power BI. It is a Microsoft tool, but very popular. And when it comes to the reporting tools, you need to know various types of charts. So you can see, I have just included one snapshot here about various types of charts and their types. So you need to know all these types of charts. So when you are a data engineer, it's all about massaging that data. But again, you need to understand the data also in a better way and easily. That's where this data visualization and reporting tools plays very important role. Then again, we have a Tableau, ClickView, Grafana. Grafana also gives very good graphical representation of the data when it comes to the monitoring. Excel is again very popular tool when it comes to the generation of the report from Excel data. Kibana is another tool which is being used for designing your graph. So that is about reporting tool. And moving on to the next part, which is volume data. So when I say volume data means something which is beyond RDBMS, right? So that's where I mention it as a big data engineering career path. So as part of big data engineer career path, and even in case of RDBMS, you need to know this ORM model, that is object relationship mapping model. So every programming language, whether it's a Java, C#, Python, they have this ORM framework. Then entity relationship diagram, I mean, how to design your high level requirement into intermediate understanding in proper data modeling format. That's where ER diagram plays very important role. You need to know all the normal forms, first normal, second, third, fourth, and fifth. And also when it comes to the big data specifically, it is all about denormalization of the data, right? Acid, again, you need to know acid properties also. Transaction level also you need to know, that is read committed, read uncommitted, repeatable read, and snapshot serializable. So this is again one deeper level where you will be more understanding what is happening behind the scene when you insert the data, you modify the data. That's where this transaction label comes into the picture. Transaction error logs. So there is a concept called write ahead log. What is that and how it is being used in the backend? That's knowing all these things will give you edge while dealing with the RDBMS or even other set of data. Performance profiling, CAP theorem is very useful. I mean, what kind of data is suitable? What kind of data solution is suitable for what kind of business problem? That is categorized in three things, that is consistency, availability, and partitioning. And based on that, you can select that particular database. So CAP theorem and its understanding is also very important if you are planning for that data architect and data molder role. Then high availability is very important. So if one database is going down, you need to have another database. That's where high availability, database indexes, data replication, sharding strategies, right? MongoDB uses sharding a lot. So you need to know sharding strategy, data security, no doubt it's very important, means data at rest, data at motion, right? Accessing that data. So these things are very important when it comes to the governing of your data. Then as a big data administrator, you need to set up and configure that particular product, right? Hardware provisioning, you need to provision those hardwares. So specifically in case of Cloudera, there is a multi-tenancy concept, and that's where you need to know FIFO scheduler, fair scheduler, capacity scheduler. So Cloudera data platform uses capacity scheduler by default, but internally again, you can categorize the scheduling of the job using FIFO and fair scheduler. So this is something which is related with big data, but again, other platform also, if they are implementing multi-tenancy platform, so similar kind of algorithm they might be using in the backend. Then how to take up the backup and recover data from that backup. HA, already we talked about it, right? Capacity management. So whenever you are dealing with distributed kind of data storage, you need to know how much data is being stored in one disk and how you need to take care of those things. So that's where capacity planning plays very important role. Alert management, again, very important aspect. Performance optimization, troubleshooting, data security and governance, as we already talked about it, right? Log clearance, it's very important. Most of the product by default, they clear the logs, means they keep 7 days data or maximum 15 or 1 month's data. But even suppose you have your own customized logs, so you need to come up with the log clearance strategy. Then let's talk about some of the big data technologies. So out of that, I extensively worked in big data, that is Cloudera. And let's see a few things about Cloudera. So this particular slide is not advertisement of Cloudera, but my experience I'm sharing here. So when we talk about big data, it is all about HDFS. Right now, Ozen is also coming into the picture and is being productionized. Then MapReduce, Tej, these are the old entity. But out of that, Tej algorithm is still there. Then Spark, we have a Apache Levy server on top of the Spark. So some of the things as part of microservice kind of submission you can do using Levy. Impala, Solar. Solar is for search kind of activity. Yarn, by default, we know as part of the distributed scheduling algorithm or distributed task scheduling algorithm, we use Yarn. Then Kudu, HBase. HBase is mainly for NoSQL kind of activities. But again, on top of that, right now we have Apache Phoenix tool, which gives you SQL-like capability on top of HBase. Then Scoop, if you want to move the data from RDBMS to Hadoop to Hadoop to RDBMS. So those things we can achieve using Scoop. Hive, again, very popular and powerful SQL engine. Woozy is for scheduling, as we saw in the previous topic of data scheduling. Apache Ranger is being used mostly for security kind of things, means authorization, authentication. So in case of Hive, you can give column or row level access also, and that can be managed using Apache Ranger. Apache Nox is again popular tool to set up your proxy server. Then there are various kinds of file format, Parquet, ORC, RC, JSON. So you need to know which file format is being used where. So out of that, ORC file format is used for transactional kind of Hive queries. So that's where we use ORC, but most of the rest of the places, Parkway is being popular file format. Atlas is another tool which is used inside CDP platform for governance activities. So that is about CDP platform, but there are Cloudera streaming platform also like Flink, Kafka. I mean, in Kafka, again, you have a Kafka stream, Kafka registry, Kafka Connect, Kafka messaging manager, stream replication manager, cruise control. So these are some of the things you need to know as part of your messaging framework, that is Kafka. Then Kafka data flow, NiFi tool is very important. So they come up with this CDF platform, that is NiFi, and very powerful and very costly tool when it comes to the Cloudera platform. So Cloudera has another tool also, that is Cloudera Data Science Workbench. So if you want to perform machine learning kind of activity, or you want to generate that model, machine learning model, that's where you can use Cloudera Data Science Workbench. So apart from that, there are other volume databases also, like Vertica, which is HP tool, and it is column oriented database. Again, Cassandra is also very popular. HBase is also popular when it comes to the volume database. It is by default part of the CDP platform that we already saw. MongoDB is also very popular. So MongoDB has one capability where you can store the data in a JSON kind of format, and I found it very interesting when it comes to the reporting solution. It is a documented DB. Then CouchDB is also popular. Snowflakes, I see lots of use cases these days being converted into Snowflakes when it comes to the data warehouse solution. So knowing Snowflake is also good activity when you think about your data engineering career. Teradata, again, very popular tool. Databricks, again, Databricks has lots of products like Databricks Lakehouse platform, Spark Streaming, MLlib, graphics, Spark component, others. So Databricks, again, very popular entity when it comes to the big data solution, and because of Spark, they grab lots of attention. Dremio, Netezza is something which is related with IBM. Druid, MarkLogic, SAP HANA, again, very popular component when it comes to the SAP stack. Cosmos DB, when you are working in Microsoft technology, Cosmos DB is very popular database, right? DynamoDB, so something which is related with AWS world. Redis, Firebase, Rethink DB, right? Real-time data processing you can do using Firebase and Rethinks. Flux DB, time series kind of database, you can use Timescale DB and Flux DB. So these are some of the other databases when it comes to the volume data. Now, let's talk about something related with federated databases, or federated query, or interactive federated queries. So when I say federated query, means you can store data in various format, and on top of that, you can fire SQL query. So they be stored in various databases, but it gives you one common interface by which you can fire query on those different kind of databases in the backend. So that is where Presto, Athena, Drill, these are very popular federated query databases. Then again, we have a cloud databases also. So we will talk about cloud databases when I'll mention about cloud technology stack. Then search engine, when we talk about search engine, Elasticsearch is very popular. In the backend, Solar also uses Elasticsearch, but again, it has simplified lots of things which are being visible. We can see those things in a better visible format using Solar. So if you want to implement such kind of a tool, then Solar is the choice of your solution. Then we see lots of graphs, and there are certain use cases where from one coordinate to another coordinate, how to travel that shortest path, and many other solutions where graph database is being used extensively in the industry. So that's where Neo4j is very popular graph database. OrientDB, Graph, Giraffe is another popular database. Graphics, something which is related with Databricks, Spark engine. Then dgraph, IBM Graph, Oracle Special and Graph, These are some of the graph databases. Again, there are many other, but I have selected just topmost component here. When we talk about data engineering career, so data streaming is also very important thing, right? So that's where especially these things are very important in IoT kind of application, where you are sending data from one location and you get that message and you store it in an intermediate location. So that's where RabbitMQ, Kafka, again, there are many use cases. Just IoT is one use case I'm talking about here. But there are many use cases where this messaging framework as intermediate storage, very, very popular. So again, Kafka has open source version, that is Apache Kafka. Again, Cloudera is also providing its own version of Kafka, and Confluent is another version of the Kafka product is being bundled. Then Apache Storm is very useful when it comes to the streaming kind of implementation. Apache NiFi, Apache Flink, Spark Streaming, IBM Stream Analytics is another popular tool when it comes to the streaming data implementation. So again, we saw a few minutes back, right? Databricks has its own data lake, right? So that's where this data lakes are also getting very popular, and we have Iceberg and Hoodie as a solution provider. Now let's see some of the common things which are being used when it comes to the data engineering platform, that is data lake, data warehouse, and data mart. So probably if you are from data warehouse background, you may be aware, right? What is data warehouse and data mart? But let's see the generic definition. So what is data lake? So whatever data you have at different sources, you bring it under one umbrella, and that one umbrella is nothing but data lake. Again, architecture changes from your implementation to implementation. Means you can bring data from data warehouse, data mart also as one central big repository as part of your data lake solution. But here I'm giving one flow, one use case where we are gathering the data from different sources, source A, source B, source C, and data can be any format. I mean, it could be text data, it could be RDBMS data, or even binary data in that sense. So binary data means audio, video, image. So we bring that under that one common repository, that is data lake. From data lake, again, whatever data you want to study as a bigger entity, you bring that under data warehouse solution. And from there, again, if you want to study one specific kind of data, more generalized to specific data study, you develop data mart. So that's how this diagram goes. So if you are from typical data engineering background, so probably you can understand what I'm trying to explain here. So I'll give you a very interesting use case where I was working for one of the popular investment banking. So they had a common data from all the sources as part of their data lake solution. So it was implemented on Hadoop and HDFS. So they gather all the banking data under that one umbrella. From there, they wanted to study the compliance data. So they bring that entire compliance data under data warehouse solution. And from there, again, for each region, they wanted to study the what you call fraud management kind of data. So they created various data marts for each region, and that's where they were trying to identify those fraud within that that region. So this is one of the use case I already worked on as part of data mart, data warehouse, and data lake solution. Then coming to the SQL, NoSQL, big fight. All the time we see SQL and NoSQL kind of database, but I found very good diagram here, which is from designguru.org. So when we talk about SQL, most of the cases it is structured data, right? RDBMS, it is structured data. So again, you need to know ACID database, and these are the databases we already talked about as part of RDBMS products, right? Then analytics, where we have a columnar database where Snowflake, Druid, and Databricks, these are some of the structured databases available, and you can perform analytic in column oriented fashion. So that is where Parquet database or Parquet file format comes into the picture, right? So that is all about structured database where you have specific rows and column kind of database. Then another type of database, which is semi-structured database. So we have a dictionary kind of database where we have a key value pair. That's where Redis, DynamoDB, Cosmos DB, these are popular databases. Wide column databases. So means you can dynamically create the column in these databases. That's where Cassandra, HBase, and Bigtable are very popular databases. Then graph databases, few minutes back we saw, right? Neo4j, OrientDB, Giraffe, these are popular databases. Nested objects, that's where Mongo, it's a documented database. CouchDB is another database. And unstructured storage, as a blob, we have Amazon S3, Azure Blob Object, and Google Cloud Storage, and even HDFS or any distributed storage where we can put our files as a blob object. We can store it, right? That's where these unstructured and binary kind of storage databases are very, very popular. So that is being said, there is another popular entity in the market right now, that is data mesh. Personally, I haven't worked too much on database, but these are some of the diagrams and the concept I want to give you here as part of the data mesh concept. And it is good to know data mesh in the current situation. So what I understood from data mesh, it's a combination of exposing your data as a product, right? And that's where all the microservices and consumption and storing and exposing that data comes into the picture. And that's where data mesh concept is very, very powerful and very streamlined things as far as exposing your database is concerned. So the term data mesh was coined by Zhamak Dehghani in 2019, and it got lots of attention during that point. So you can see here we have a domain ownership. So you need to have a proper domain understanding and its ownership, data as a product, self-serve data platform, federated governance, and strategic domain-driven design, socio-technical perspective and technology. So these are some of the things you need to know if you want to know something about data mesh. And even data fabric is also good concept to explore as part of your data engineering journey. So this is where I found very interesting blog, and if you want to refer it and see more detail about data mesh, so please visit this site and try to understand more detail about data mesh. So this is all about your career path as a data engineer. So in short, if you want to be a data engineer, please comment which programming language you are planning to learn, on which operating system you want to hold your hand, then type at least one RDBMS database where you want to master. ETL concepts, again, subjective. So if you get exposure to ETL, very, very good. I mean, when we talk about database, it is good to know at least high level ETL concept, and you need to explore that one ETL tool. So you can type that one ETL tool right now in the comment section. And no doubt, if you have proper understanding of data warehouse concept, then it is very good. Then MDM database, as we talk about, you need to select at least one scheduling tool where you are popular. Again, these scheduling tools are very simple. So even if you understand one scheduling tool, you can easily understand rest of the scheduling tool. It is good to know that one popular reporting database. So type that one reporting database in the comment section you want to learn. Volume database, again, we saw lots of volume databases, right? So type at least one database where you want to have that mastery. Graph database is again, graph database is again optional here in this case. So if you get that kind of use case, so definitely you go and learn the graph database. Data streaming is also optional in this case, but right now lots of application, they are generating lots of data, and that's where streaming database is very popular. So try to understand and at least put that one technology which you want to learn as part of data streaming. So again, Kafka is very popular right now. So it is good to learn that Kafka database. Data lake, these are optionals again. You need to know all these concept: data lake, data mart, data warehouse, Again, whatever structured, unstructured, and semi-structured databases we saw, select that one particular database out of all these three categories where you want to have a mastery. And good to understand this data mesh and data fabric concept also as part of your engineering journey. So please select that one programming language, one operating system, RDBMS database, one ETL tool, and one job scheduling tool, one reporting tool, one volume database. In the comment section, put all these details. And as we saw, structured, unstructured, and semi-structured database. So select that respective category of database as part of your. So this is all about data engineering, career, and its technical path. Again, you don't need to learn all these things. Select that one particular piece out of all this category and try to go into more depth of that one database and that one particular technology. And the rest of the things you need to learn as part of your supportive journey. So all the best, and please put comment, as I mentioned in my previous slide, which particular technology you want to master. Thank you for listening.